Okay, welcome to the webinar, everybody. It is great to have you here today. This is going to be, I think, a really useful, hopefully exciting and fun webinar. And our goal is to introduce or help small business owners better understand integrated marketing and why it's so important for integrated marketing to be a part of your plan when you're going after new customers and trying to grow your business. Specifically, we're going to focus on two components of integrated marketing. We're going to focus on direct mail and email. So that's one offline and one online component. And these are two ways of new customer acquisition that are really easy to integrate, and it's also very, very effective when done correctly. So we're going to talk about that today. And real quick, I want to point out that this webinar is focused on new customer acquisition. So I know the small business owners out there, what they really want in most cases is to find new customers, to bring in new customers that will drive their business growth, generate cash flow, and grow their revenues. So this webinar in particular is going to focus on acquisition. A lot of people, when they think about direct mail and email marketing, they think about, okay, I need my own list, right? I need a list of my customers I can direct mail, or I need a list of people I can email. Well, we're going to focus on acquisition with this webinar, and very clearly, you do not need an in-house mailing list or an in-house email list to do any of this. So we're going to walk you through how this works. It's something anybody can do or start doing right now, and I think that's going to help us all get a ton out of this webinar. So hang on, and we'll go ahead here and get started. Okay, so let's look at the agenda just briefly. We're going to do a quick introduction for myself and one of my colleagues who is going to say hello in just a moment. We're going to do a quick intro to small business integrated marketing, what it is, why you should use it, and all that good stuff. Then we're going to talk about some of the facts and statistics surrounding integrated marketing, in particular when it comes to direct mail and email, and what type of performance you can expect. We are also going to walk through how to optimize and put together winning campaigns. So what should your direct mail postcard look like? What should your email look like? And how we can help you build a successful campaign. We're also going to talk about how do you optimize your marketing collateral, so your postcards, your emails, to get the most phone calls and clicks. So we're going to walk you through that. We're going to help you understand how to get your prospective customers to take the right action at the right time. And then we're going to go into a live demo. So we're going to actually put together a real integrated campaign, step by step, piece by piece, from start to finish. The whole thing only takes a few minutes to do. And again, this is something that you're going to be able to do right away. And then following the live demo, we are going to open up the webinar to a live Q&A session. During the course of this webinar, if you want to submit your questions, you can use the GoToMeeting portal, or GoToWebinar portal, I should say, and you can either use the chat or the questions function to submit anything that comes up, and we'll do our best to answer each and every one as we wrap up the webinar. All right, so let's move ahead. So quick introductions. My name is Chris Barr. I'm the Director of Marketing for Taradel. I've got over 10 years of integrated marketing experience. I'm the head of our integrated marketing platform here at Taradel. I've helped to design it and create it and optimize it for our small business customers and also the franchises and nonprofits that use it as well. And I do that under the direction of our CEO and our development team. And this solution that we're going to show you in a little bit is the same solution used by thousands of small business customers around the country. It's something that you can use no matter where you're located. We've got customers, believe it or not, in Alaska, but it works anywhere in the U.S. So that's always a good thing. And the strategies we're going to talk about today on this webinar, the things that I show you and the things that you learn, they are all real strategies that I use myself. So I've worked with so many clients, and I'm a big believer in practicing what you preach. So everything you see here is stuff that I use on a day-to-day basis, either for the company I work with, Taradel, or when helping guide the campaigns for our clients. And I'd also like to introduce Wendy Urquhart. She is our VP of Business Development, and she is going to join us in just a second here. And Wendy has 20 years of strategic account management experience. A lot of that is international. She's worked overseas. She was in China for a while. She's a real experienced professional. And she's also got relationships with many national brands, associations, and agencies, which span virtually every industry you can think of, from restaurant to healthcare to even landscaping and home improvement, pretty much everything. And she doesn't like to boast a lot, but I'll boast for her. She's closed millions and millions in sales. She's a true closer. She knows what small business owners need when it comes to cash flow and that side of the business. And I go to her when I have questions. So she really knows what she's doing, and she's going to join us a little bit later here to walk you through the live demo. All right, so let's move ahead. Let's look at integrated marketing, and I apologize in advance. You're going to see a lot of my artwork throughout this webinar. I'm definitely not a graphic designer. That's probably why I'm a marketing guy. But you'll see my doodles here. But I think this does a good job explaining it, at least to some degree. Integrated marketing is an approach to creating a unified and seamless experience for consumers, your customers, across all of the marketing channels. So that could be YouTube, direct mail, email, the content on your website, the social media accounts that you operate, and it's all about making that work together. So you want to make sure that all of your marketing is, presented to that consumer in a way that makes sense and is working towards the same goal. Okay? So what are some of the components of an integrated marketing campaign? Well, integrated marketing is data-driven, it's trackable. Okay? Marketing is worthless if you don't know how to track results and you can't assign an ROI to it. And it's consumer-oriented, so it's all about your customer, what they need, solving their problems, that kind of thing. It also needs to be meaningful. All of your marketing should always have a purpose. I've seen a lot of small business owners just do things just to do them without any real, hey, here's what we want the customer to do. Here's the action they should take, or here's why we're doing this. So all of your marketing should always have a clear purpose and be meaningful. Again, it should be unified. Everything needs to be consistent. We're going to talk a lot more about that. It needs to be intensely focused. So again, having a mission. And it needs to have an online and offline component. And I highlight that for a reason. In today's world, as we're all well familiar with, people, your customers, have an online and an offline life, for lack of a better word. We've got the time we spend on our mobile phones and iPads and computers, and we've got the time where we're actually interacting with the physical world. That could be anything from grocery shopping to helping with a fundraiser. It could be anything. But we both have online and offline experiences, and both of those are critical when it comes to running a successful integrated marketing campaign. You want to reach those customers no matter where they are and what they're doing, And as we'll discuss, each one of those has strengths and weaknesses, and you can leverage that. So what can you integrate? Let's talk about a few of the most common components of an integrated marketing campaign. On the online side, you have email. You've got digital marketing. So this is your web-based, but it might be paid search like Google AdWords, your website, the things you do on your website. Your social media, all the articles and videos and tips and statistics, all that stuff that you share on social media. And then your content. So this is anything that you're producing to drive traffic to your site or create an experience or further your brand. And a lot of that is going to be the same stuff you share on social media. Social media is really a way to amplify your content and get it out to the world. So those kind of work hand in hand. And then you've got offline. You've got direct mail. So these are physical offers you can put directly into a prospect's hands. You've got sales efforts. So these are the actions that maybe your in-house sales reps or employees are running every day, or what that whole experience looks like from the customer's perspective. It's all part of your marketing and sales. Public relations. What do you do to help the local community? Do you support, a children's cause or, something for, the homeless or whatever it may be? What do you do in terms of public relations, that cements your place in that local community or that in your market? And then you've got, specific community events. You might be doing a fundraiser where you donate a portion of profits to a great cause or a school, or anything like that. It could be neighborhood-based, it could be community-based, it could be, on a much larger scale as well, depending on your business. So these are examples of components that you integrate to all work together towards the same goal. The example I show here is one for Mosquito Squad. They are one of the fastest growing companies in America. They're a franchise. You've probably heard a lot about them lately. They're kind of everywhere, and they're one of our clients. And you can see here that they've got a direct mail postcard with a $100 off offer. The branding is very consistent and clean, and then you'll see that same offer in an email format with the exact same offer and branding and imaging. So obviously that ties in the offline and online components. The customer receives a similar, easy to understand and recognize message, and it's been extremely effective for them. So again, before we move forward, let's just kind of refocus here. We're going to talk about integrated acquisition-based direct mail and email marketing. And again, you do not need any list to do this. If you're a new business that just opened today or yesterday, that's great. You can use this too. You don't need any kind of list. So where do you begin with all this? The first thing to do is to understand that as marketers and business owners, that consumers now use and interact with a vast range of communication channels and media. Each channel has its own strengths and limitations, which are inherent to the medium. To put that in perspective, people don't just watch TV anymore. They go to YouTube. They watch Netflix. They're looking at all these different online sites and providers. So that once captive audience that had kind of people for better for worse stuck in that channel, whether that be television or newspapers, for example. Now those same customers or those same types of customers are using all these different channels, and each one has its strengths and weaknesses. And then we need to understand that you can leverage integrated marketing communications because when you do marketing through all these different channels, both offline and online, the sum is greater than the parts. So if you're running a consistent, focused, clearly defined campaign with branding that is consistent, with an offer that is compelling, and you keep making impressions on the exact same target audience, you are going to get a sum that is much greater than if you did all of those different channels with a different offer and a different look. So this is about leveraging all of the channels that are out there and making them all work cohesively as a unit and getting the most out of your marketing dollars. So again, here's my great artwork. I'm also known as Picasso, if you haven't noticed. But here's an example of what the modern customer journey looks like. So for example, on April 10th, a customer receives from your business a direct mail postcard. It's promoting a sale, and looks great. They're interested, but they're not ready to buy. So 4 days later, they're looking at that same type of product online. They did a search in Google, and bam, your ad pops up on Google. Maybe you're running an AdWords campaign. So they see it again. That's another impression. And then on May 3rd, they see your offer pop up in their Facebook feed. So that's a third impression on them within a couple weeks time frame. And when they see your offer on Facebook, they like it, they show interest, but they still don't buy it yet. Well, fast forward to a week after that, and they get your email with the exact same message and offer, and it just so happens they were just paid, and they've got some extra cash laying around, and they've been dying to try your product. They want it, they love it, and they click on a link in your email, they buy it, and it's a done deal. You've sold your product successfully. Even though it took them a month to get there, you reach them across all these different channels, both offline and online, at different times, and eventually, when they're ready to buy and the timing is right, if your message and offer is consistent, there's a very high likelihood that they will transact from you. They're going to remember you, they're going to remember your offer, and they're going to be more likely to buy it. So that's an example of how an integrated marketing campaign might work in the real world. So when we think about integrated marketing as small business owners and advertisers, what we need to do is just realize it's marketing, okay? So don't get lost in the kind of buzzword of integrated marketing. It's just marketing now, okay? The standard has changed. Marketing is no longer just a one-and-done proposition. It really never has been, but now that there's so many different ways to reach customers and interact with them, literally 24/7, integrated marketing is the new standard. If you're marketing, it needs to be done in this format. Okay, so let's talk about 10 of the most popular uses for integrated marketing. Okay, so number one is pretty obvious. It's new customer acquisition. So every small business owner wants new customers, and that's kind of a no-brainer. Obviously, new customers leads to increases in sales and revenue, which is really the point of having a business, for the most part, I should say. You can also use integrated marketing to drive traffic to your brick-and-mortar store or your website. So however you sell or prefer to sell, you can use integrated marketing to drive customers in that direction. It's also ideal for grand openings or relocations. So if you're opening a new store in a month, or you're opening your second store, it's a great way to quickly spread the word and make your target audience aware of that news. You can also use it to introduce products and services. And this is one that I want to focus on for a second, because a lot of small business owners, especially the ones that have been in operation for 5, 10, 15 years, they say, well, I've got customers, I'm successful, but there's not really anything new that I have to offer. So, I'm seeing competitors pop up, I'm kind of losing some ground, and it's just not fresh anymore. Well, you can always, no matter what type of product or service you provide, you can always innovate and do new things to get that excitement going again and get people involved and engaged again. One example I'll put out there is, let's say you run a pizza shop, a local pizza shop, and you've had the same great food for years. You're well loved and liked in the community, but your sales are stagnant, and there's competition from chains and other independents that are constantly bombarding you. Well, even though you may have been there for quite a while, you could introduce something like the Monster Pizza, or create a new product that's unique only to your business that you could promote with integrated marketing. So you create this new pizza, the Monster, and maybe it's got a tagline, nobody can finish it, or whatever. And you can put that on a direct mail postcard, put it into emails, put it on Facebook, and get people excited about your business again. So you can use it to introduce any type of new product or service, and you can do that almost on a monthly basis. I know some of the successful brands out there, like Subway, has like a sub of the month. So that's what they're doing. They're introducing something new every single month. And even though everyone's pretty much had Subway in their life, and it might be kind of boring, and you know what to expect, well, hey, here's this new sub. Come try it. You haven't seen this yet. So anyway, that's a great way to promote your business. If you have events or special offers, you can promote them. Black Friday is a good example. I guess for this webinar, I should say Small Business Saturday. Small Business Saturday, there's a huge movement behind it. It's a day where, despite all of the kind of mega stores and mega chains out there getting a huge slice of the pie on Black Friday, there's also a big movement to supporting local families and small business owners, and that would be a great way to use an integrated marketing campaign to promote your small business for Small Business Saturday. Community awareness. If you're doing a fundraiser or helping, again, supporting a children's cause or something like that, that the community, that matters to the community, and that can help you, secure your place within that neighborhood or that community, you can use direct mail and integrated components to promote that and market it and make that a success as well. We work with a lot of realtors and medical practices that use integrated marketing to position their brand or their company or themselves as subject matter experts. For example, if you're a realtor, you could send out a monthly newsletter that talks about home values in a particular neighborhood or geographic area and anything that might impact that. So, let's say a big new store opened up and you think it might impact home values. You could talk about that. You could do tips, for increasing the value of your home or making your home more beautiful, anything like that. You can send out those kind of monthly newsletters via direct mail and email, for example, to build a following and position yourself as, hey, this is the go-to person in our community for this type of service. And the same if you're, a doctor, for example. You could do an article, 5 ways to protect your children at the beach this summer, anything like that. If you are looking to develop new markets or further develop your existing market, integrated marketing is a great way to do that. You can reach a targeted audience within your market or the entire market, and this is a great way to reach new prospects. And last but not least, you can use it to ward off competitors. A lot of small business owners, they worry about their competition. They see them in the same marketing channels that they use. For example, if you're in one of those local coupon packs that go to every home, you're probably in there with 1, 2, maybe even half a dozen or a dozen competitors in the exact same space. Well, that's kind of a race to the bottom. If your marketing is integrated and you're reaching that customer on multiple channels at multiple times and giving them a much deeper and more robust experience, most of the time your competitors will be less sophisticated. There's always a way to have that edge, and integrated marketing, if it's done correctly, it's basically unstoppable. So it's a great way to ward off competitors. So let's talk about some facts and statistics. I'm going to run through facts about direct mail and facts about email. And again, I want to emphasize that the the numbers and kind of the insight I'm going to share with you is about acquisition direct mail. So these are numbers and stats based on if you don't have a list and you're renting a list or buying a list. Or if you're using, for example, every door direct mail, which you don't need any list whatsoever to do. So let's dive into it. So acquisition direct mail, every door direct mail, for example, averages about a 1 to 2.5% response rate according to the Direct Marketing Association. Now, that might seem low, but when you run the numbers, it offers tremendous upside. And direct mail, to this day, offers a stronger return on marketing investment, typically averaging about 15 to 17% than any digital channel. I'm a big believer in digital marketing, but when it comes to driving transactions, nothing in terms of advertising is more transactional than direct mail. Again, both mediums have their strengths and weaknesses, but digital is better for awareness and getting people kind of in the top of your sales funnel. Direct mail is much more efficient at selling, at least for the current time being. With every door direct mail, for example, you can mail giant postcards and flyers to every local mailbox in the areas that you wish to target. So, if you want to find new customers in a particular neighborhood, every door direct mail will let you reach every one of those prospects without having to buy a mailing list, simply by targeting them using geographic and demographic targeting tools. And Wendy is going to show us how that works in just a few moments here. Direct mail, no surprise, 3 billion coupons are redeemed every year. Consumers love great deals. They love hearing from companies and products and services that they like and that they use. And if you give them a reason to buy, more often than not, they will. Direct mail also holds some additional, crowns over digital ads, so to speak. Consumers who receive direct mail ads recall the message or the offer 75% of the time. So, 3 out of 4 people are going to remember your branding, your offer, if you use direct mail. When you compare that and contrast it to digital, someone gets that same exact ad, but on a digital platform, they're only going to recall it, your company and your message 44% of the time. Bottom line is that humans are wired for physical interaction, and with the technology today, we're still in the early stages of neuroscience and kind of studying the neuroscience approach to marketing. But one thing is clear, and this is based on a research study that Canada Post employed True Impact Marketing to run, that humans are hardwired for physical interaction. It takes our brains 21% less cognitive effort to process something that is physical, so direct mail, for example, than it does when we're looking at a screen. So we're still trying to figure out why that is, but it's pretty obvious. As humans, we're designed to live in a physical and interact in a physical world, and all this technology is pretty new stuff. So it's interesting to realize that. Obviously, again, both have strengths and weaknesses, but the numbers don't lie. And with that kind of thought, I just posed an interesting question at the bottom of this slide. In a digital world, so with all of our smartphones and computers and laptops and iPads, is physical communication and interaction more meaningful than it was before? It's becoming a rarity to speak to someone on the phone or to get that personalized service, or to shake somebody's hand in a lot of cases. So does direct mail and other types of kind of physical interaction in marketing, does it mean more and make a bigger impact now than it did even, maybe 10, 20 years ago? I don't know, but it's worth thinking about. Acquisition email. Let's switch over to acquisition email here. A lot of people call acquisition email cold email. So these are when you're essentially renting an email list and sending a prospect an email from your company without them, necessarily knowing about you or hearing about you. Now, I want to clarify something right up front. You should never purchase a list of email addresses from someone selling them on the internet or anything like that. If it's too good to be true, it is, and trust me when I say the canned spam laws will come crashing down on you. It's not worth ever purchasing email lists and then sending messages to them. That's really not how it works. When you're talking about professional grade, so to speak, acquisition email, you are renting a list that is completely vetted. All of the prospects within that email list are verified opt-in prospects. These are people who either through registering for a website, signing up for a magazine, or a million different other ways have agreed to receive communications from an advertiser or a network of advertisers. So if you sign up for a rewards card somewhere, you might be opting into a list somewhere else. But if it's relevant and the context is right, a lot of consumers want those deals, so they opt into these lists. So with that in mind, what we're going to talk about today is when you're renting a list, an email list, so that you can deploy your own messages and offers to a targeted group of prospects from a legit company that opt-in verifies everything. So with that, acquisition email open rates average about 1 to 2%, but they vary greatly. The biggest determining factor on open rates, and really click-through rates for that matter, is the subject line that you use and the offer. Even if a prospect receives your email and doesn't open it or click through on it, they still see your name and your subject line. So you still deliver massive impressions through email. And the good news is that acquisition emails are very, very, very affordable. It's on average about 2 to 3 cents per email to reach each prospect. So you can do this on scale and really make an impression across a vast audience. And even if you get 1 or 2% click-through rate, if you're emailing 10,000 prospects, that's hundreds of people clicking, opening and clicking on your email. So you can see how the math works out favorably very quickly. And I like to also remind people that acquisition email isn't really a good marketing strategy just by itself. It certainly can be, but really it plays a support role to a core marketing component in your integrated campaign. Direct mail is a core component because it can reach everybody. So for example, if you're launching an every door direct mail campaign to 10,000 local homes, your postcard is going to physically deliver into every mailbox, and it virtually assures that every single prospect is going to interact with your postcard, your direct mail offer to some degree. Acquisition email could support that by delivering another impression of the exact same message and offer through a digital channel. So really it's best to use it as a support component to your main core marketing effort. All right? And that image I show on this slide is a good example of that type of exposure that you get through email marketing, whether they click on it or not. All right, so let's switch over to creating winning direct mail and email campaigns. So what are the top things you can do to get the most out of your marketing? One, you want to look professional, and that means consistent branding. Your direct mail pieces, your website, your email communications, your social media accounts, and everything else should be consistently branded. The same colors, the same logo, everything should look professional. Only use high quality graphics and images. If you pull an image off the web and you put it on a direct mail piece, guess what? When it prints, it's going to be pixelated, blurry, it's not going to look right. It's not designed for that process or that format. So always use high quality graphics across everything you do and keep them consistent. And as small business owners and advertisers, if you're like me, I like to dabble in Photoshop and even Word and PowerPoint. We try to do things ourselves too much sometimes, even when we're not the expert in that area. So do yourself a favor and all of your customers a favor. Hire a designer. It's so affordable these days. You can get something designed looking great, looking professional, and all the branding will be spot on for just a few bucks, and the ROI on that and the perception that you'll put out there for your brand and your offer is going to be way more effective and have a bigger positive impact than if you don't. So hire a designer. Always use a compelling offer and keep it simple. Marketing is all about giving someone a reason to learn more about you or buy from you right then and there. So the way you do that is by delivering a compelling offer, and you have to make it very simple to understand. I see a lot of small businesses use these crazy complicated offers. For example, like a home improvement company might say, hey, if we remodel your kitchen, we'll give you a free stainless steel sink. Well, then the offer goes on to say, but only if you use products from this specific dealer or brand, and there's a minimum order total and all these different things. That's really not efficient. It's confusing, and it probably raises more questions than it answers for the customer. So keep it, here's $5 off a $25 order, or 20% off, whatever it is, buy one, get one free. Keep it simple. Also provide clear next step directions. So if you want somebody to respond to your direct mail piece by phone, make that the call to action. Call us now and give the phone number. Don't just list every possible way to contact you without highlighting the main call to action. So it's great to have your phone number and your email and your website and your Facebook all on the offer, but make sure one of them is clearly defined as the call to action. Here's how we want you to respond next. And then remove any filler text or copy. One of the things I do is I'll usually put together an advertising or a campaign, and I'll walk away from it for a day or two, and then I'll come back to it and say, all right, what do I absolutely have to have and what do I not have to have on this advertising? And usually by the time I'm done with it, I've hacked off 50% of the copy that is not absolutely mission critical to communicating who I am or who the client is, what the offer is, and how to redeem it. So sales copy is great, but only if it is very effective in furthering the benefits or the offer. So if it's just filler or if it's not absolutely 100% essential, get rid of it. It's much better to have a simplified message than one that's too complex or takes too long to digest. And then any marketing is only as good as the audience it targets. So when you're marketing, make sure that you use both geographic targeting and demographic targeting. I like to use both together to get even more specific. But think about your particular business. Does geography, is that all that matters? For example, if you're a pizzeria, do you just want to hit everyone within 5-minute drive time of your pizzeria? Or are you a medical practice and you only want to reach homes with children that make a certain income? So think about all these different geographic and demographic criteria that will impact your ability to reach the right prospects. And then timing is everything. Some businesses are seasonal. If you're a landscaping business, you're not going to want to send out postcards in the middle of the winter when snow is on the ground. And other things, maybe back to school or the spring or anything like that. The holidays could impact your business. So marketing is quite often about timing. Make sure the timing is right for your offer, especially if you're in a seasonal business. All right, so here's an example of what a successful kind of baseline for a direct mail plus email integrated campaign looks like. You always want to deliver the core component of your marketing first, so that would be the direct mail offer. And perhaps you would mail that out on Friday, April 1st, and then you would follow up that core offer with the email marketing communication. So your email number 1 would deploy a week after that direct mail offer hits the homes, and then email number 2 would follow a week after that. So in other words, your direct mail hits, makes a big impression on the consumer. A week later, they get your email with the exact same message, the exact same offer that was on your direct mail piece, and then so on and so forth. And that way, within a month's time, you're making 4 meaningful impressions with the exact same message on that prospect. And ultimately, with any type of marketing, your success boils down to the frequency and the amount of impressions that you reach each prospect with. There's a lot of data out there about how many impressions it takes to convert a lead into a customer. And on average, across all industries, it's about 7 to 12. At some point, you hit the law of diminishing returns, and it becomes less effective. But the truth is, it varies. Every customer has a different, kind of position within the buying phase. Some are just learning about a product. Others are ready to buy because they've already learned about it a few months ago. So the main thing is you want to make sure you get enough impressions so that we make the one and done approach a thing of the past. You want to reach people on multiple occasions, and that way when they're ready to buy, they'll remember you and they'll be ready to transact, and you can make it easy. So if you've never done an integrated direct mail and email marketing campaign, follow this basic outline here, and you'll be off to a good start. Okay. A couple more slides, and then we're going to get to a real live demo with Wendy Urquhart. She's going to show you exactly how to do this. Here's an example from my 10 years of experience of what I think the perfect base direct mail postcard looks like. It's got a headline that communicates exactly who you are or what your offer is. It's got a hero image, and this could be a product shot, or if you're a medical practice marketing towards seniors, you might show a picture of seniors there. Something that makes the product or service look great, that communicates who you are and what you do. And most importantly, it's something that's going to resonate with your target audience. If you're targeting seniors and they see a picture of teenagers on your postcard, that connection will not be established. So just kind of keep that type of thing in mind when you're creating your marketing collateral. It should have sales copy and clear benefits. The sales copy, again, should support your offer and not just be filler text. You want to give it purpose. The benefits, pick a few. If you have 20 benefits that your product or service provides, pick 3, 4, or 5 of them tops, and list those so people can quickly scan your marketing collateral and see, okay, this is exactly what I get from this. And then include some type of authority indicator or testimonial. If you're a new business and you don't have testimonials, show logos or feature something about any organizations that you work with or that you're featured on. If you were in the news, you could maybe do something like that. But if you do have a testimonial, it's always great to feature a real testimonial. It just gives your marketing piece a little bit more authority and reduces the friction between a new customer and your business. And then most importantly, make sure that offer stands out. The offer should be the main focus. I like to locate it in the bottom right-hand corner of a direct mail piece. The reason for that is people read, at least in this country, they read from left to right and usually top to bottom. So that is the best place in terms of getting the most eyeball traffic, for lack of a better term. And then right below your offer, tell them exactly what they need to do next. Call us now. If that's a website URL, that's fine too in some cases, but make sure the call to action is clear. And one other just bit of insight from my own experience, if you make the offer look like a coupon, so the little dotted lines or the red outline, you will typically see a better response. A quick story, I worked with a pizzeria a while back, and he had this deal that was working great. It was $13.95 or something like that for a large pizza, breadsticks, and a drink. It was working great, but he had been doing it for a while, and even though it was like a standard offer, like it never expired, he found that it wasn't getting quite the traction it used to. So he didn't want to remove it. He wanted to stick with it. But I said, well, look, why don't you look at, on the next time you print your menus out and mail them out to everybody, why don't you make it look like a coupon so it looks like a great deal? So he said, okay, we'll try it. And sure enough, when he used that exact same offer but put the little coupon dash around it, he got something like a 10 or 12% lift over the version that he sent out that didn't have it inside the kind of coupon lines. So little things like that, it's crazy how much of an impact they can have, but I think it just comes down to drawing the attention to the offer. That's what the consumer wants, and that's what gets them to take action. This exact same formula and setup applies to email. You can see it's got all the same components. It's just formatted slightly differently to work for email, and there's nothing much more to it. This format works. If you haven't done this before, use this as a baseline, but always do testing and figure out what works best for your business. All right, and the golden rule about response: the channel format dictates the response format. So in other words, direct mail is an offline channel, so you should require an offline response. In other words, if you send out a direct mail offer, the person who receives it is not necessarily online at that time, so it's a lot easier for them to just call you on the phone than remember your website URL and type that in, or anything like that. If it's an offline channel, make sure the response format is offline too. On the flip side, if it's email, which is an online channel, and someone's receiving it on a connected device, like a mobile phone, for example, it's way easier for them to click a button or a link and pull up your website and information. So if it's an online channel, it's good to get them to either click or fill out a form on your website. And I think that's something very kind of basic, but it can make a big difference in your response rates because, again, if someone gets something in their hand that's printed and it says, hey, go to this, www.company.com/save $50 or whatever the URL is, it's just a pain in the neck to remember that and then type it in and all that stuff. So always include all of the contact methods on your marketing collateral, but remember, make one of them the main call to action. One other thing I will say about emails, you need to make sure that your emails, when you deploy them, are completely responsive. People these days, they're especially if they're not in the B2B space. So if you're going after consumers, not people in other businesses, then most of the time consumers are checking their email on their smartphone or their iPad or their laptop. So depending on what the way they're looking at that email, you need to make sure that your email automatically is responsive and adjusts to that screen size. So always use emails that are responsive. And one thing I'll say, and Wendy's going to show you the platform in a second here, if you don't know how to do all that, don't worry. There are plenty of solutions out there that will help you create your direct mail and email campaigns. Make sure that they're integrated and totally responsive. So if you don't know how to do this, don't worry. We're going to show you at least one solution in just a moment that will take care of all that for you. The main thing is to remember to do it. It will greatly help you. Okay, so let's switch over now to the live demo. Wendy Urquhart is joining us now, and she is going to show you a real example of a small business building a campaign, an integrated campaign, and launching it. So Wendy, welcome aboard, and if you want to take over and drive here.
Great, thanks everyone. All right, so as Chris mentioned, you don't have to be a sophisticated marketer. You don't have to be the most technologically savvy person. There are solutions out there that will help you build integrated marketing campaigns. And the one that we're going to walk you through here today is everydoordirectmail.com. So this is a platform that was designed around the U.S. Postal Service's Every Door Direct Mail program. This is where you can mail to carrier routes in the markets that you serve, and then you'll have the option to add in additional services. The one that we're going to talk about today is the add-on of email. So Chris talked a lot about pizzerias, so let's use that for our example here. To start building your direct mail campaign that you will later add your email onto, the first thing that you'll do is you'll click on this target button right here at the top of the page, and you'll enter in the physical address of the business that you want to start building your campaign around. So I'll just enter in our address here in Virginia. And our system is now going to pull up all of the postal carrier route data that surrounds that address. And we'll show you here in a minute how you can target by radius, drive time, or even demographics. So when the map is ready, we'll go ahead and we'll click Show Me. And you can zoom in or out using the plus or minus button on the left-hand side of the page here. So I'll zoom in a little bit just so I can see the areas better. As I move my mouse around, you'll see that the carrier routes turn pink. And if you look at the far left-hand side of the screen again, you'll see the type of address that's in the route. It's broken down by single-family homes, apartments, and businesses. The Postal Service requires that you do mail to every residential address within the route. So you'll see on the right-hand side of the screen that that is automatically checked. And you have the option to add in business or P.O. box addresses. So you'll determine that really depending on the type of business that you are and the type of customer that you're looking for. To select a route for your campaign, you'll go ahead and click it. It will turn blue. And if you look on the right-hand side of the screen now, we're going to go ahead and start building a table that will include all of the address counts that are now included in our distribution. I mentioned that you can also target by radius or drive time. So let's again use that pizzeria for an example. Let's say that you want to find postal carrier routes that fall within 10 minutes, so your drivers don't have to go too far, and let's say a 5-mile radius of your business. Now you have some geographic context of where you want to keep your selections or where you want to stay within when you're adding your routes. But let's get a little more specific. Let's say that you are promoting a family-friendly night. So you want to look for carrier routes that have the highest concentration of homes with children. So I'm going to unselect the routes that I have here, and I'm going to click on this demographics button at the top of the page. You'll see you have a list of 5 demographics that you can choose from, and our system lets you pick any 3 from this list of 5. So you can pick none, 1, 2, or 3. So to keep it simple, I'll go ahead and I'll just pick presence of children. So we're looking for the carrier routes that have the highest concentration of children in the household, and I'll click Show on Map. And the system will now heat map the area and show me which carrier routes have the highest concentration of that audience. The darker the red, the higher the match. So if I hover over this carrier route here, look at the left-hand side of the screen again, where it says currently viewing in hot pink. You'll see 61% of the residential addresses in this carrier route have children in the home. So if that's really the audience I'm looking for, simply cherry pick the routes that have the highest concentration of that audience until I get to my desired quantity. Now in this example, I'm going to go ahead and get myself to 10,000 addresses because I want to hit 10,000 homes within a campaign. Let's see. I can get one here just below that. Almost there. Okay, so here I'm just over 10,000 addresses. Next, I'll go ahead and click Save and Continue and name this map. So I'm just going to call this Wendy's Pizza 5-mile radius and children in home. So now that map is saved to my account, and if I want to use that for a future campaign, maybe that's my hot target that I want to mail to over and over again, all I have to do when I log back into the system is click on this Maps button, and that map is one that I can simply pull from and place an order with. Next, you'll go ahead and you'll pick from one of 4 sizes that qualify for this particular type of mail, every door direct mail. And the system will tell you right away what your all-inclusive price per piece is, driven simply now by the quantity that we've selected and the size piece I choose to mail. So we'll go ahead with this oversized postcard, this really big 8.5 by 11 postcard. It'll really stand out in the mail. I go ahead and click Next Step. And here I'm just going to go ahead and set the specifics for my campaign, starting with if I want any extra copies. Maybe I want 100, for takeout orders or just to have for my records. I put the address of where I want those to go to. I have 3 design options available. I can upload my own art files. So for folks who already have access to professional creative, you can simply upload the front and the back here. You can also pick from a free template. We have over 2,000 templates that qualify for every door direct mail built right into the portal that we can customize with any offers, text, your content, images, that sort of thing. And we also have professional design service. The cost for this service ranges between $100 to $200 depending on the size piece that you choose. So to Chris's point before, you want to make sure that your piece is designed well. So if you don't have access to creative services, or like me and Chris, you are used to doing these things in PowerPoint or Word, go ahead and make the investment to have a piece designed just for you. Again, if you're going to spend your marketing dollars on a marketing piece, you want to make sure it's designed well and by someone who knows what they're doing. Now, more than half of our jobs come through with design already done, so I'll keep that as the option. And I'll go to the next step here, which is to now set my delivery schedule. So this is, how do I want these mail pieces to actually deliver? So the first question you'll be asked is, how many times do you want to mail this specific offer to each address? So if you want these to hit each address just one time, you'll go to the next step. But maybe you want to hit these folks more than once. We talk about the importance of reach and frequency. So maybe if this is for a grand opening that's coming up in a couple weeks, you want to hit this audience twice with the same creative. So the system will give you that option right here. But to keep it simple, I'll go ahead and put just one time that I want my pieces all to mail out in one drop. Next, I go ahead and I can pick the week that I want my pieces to be in home. The dates that are presented will be driven by the design option that you select. So because I've selected my own art files, the first available week we have is 2 weeks from now. If I added template service or professional design service, 1 or 2 weeks would be bumped out on this platform. So I'll go ahead and just pick the first available week here, and I'll go to the next step, which is the checkout. And this is where it's going to give me 2 additional add-on services. The first one I mentioned that we have available is a new mover product. So this is where we actually can send new mover postcards to everyone who moves into the same carrier route that you've selected for your Every Door direct mail campaign. But we're going to focus now on the emails. So as Chris mentioned, you can do an integrated campaign right from a platform like this. And in this example here, we have about a 20% match rate of emails that belong to the same people that live in the carrier routes that you've selected. So again, you can go ahead and hit these 1,932 people in this example with 3 separate emails that will follow your Every Door direct mail campaign. Remember, Chris said before, your direct mail campaign would go out first, and then starting a week later, and then on really whatever interval schedule you want after that, you'll follow up with additional emails. And this is a great way to get multiple impressions to the same audience that are going to receive your Every Door direct mail campaign. To add that to your order, you simply would select here, click Continue to check out. And the last step here is where you recap everything that you've selected, starting with the size piece that you're going to mail, which in this example is the oversized 8.5 by 11, the design option you've selected. Here's the map again that you're going to send your pieces to, the week that your Every Door direct mail pieces would be delivered, and then now you have a full integrated marketing calendar that shows you when your Every Door direct mail pieces would drop, and then when your emails would deploy to, again, that 20% match rate that we have on the emails. Now, when you place the order through the system, if you have designed for your direct mail piece but not for your email, don't worry. The designer who's assigned to your account will reach out within 2 business days to go through the design options and the design consultation for your emails. The last step here is to go ahead and pick your payment information. So you can, of course, go ahead and pay for your order in full, or you can finance the job by putting a deposit payment down to get the order started, and then a balance payment is charged 7 days before your pieces are taken to the post office. You enter your payment information, complete your order, and you've just completed an integrated marketing campaign in less than 10 minutes. And now I'll go ahead and hand it back over to Chris.
Okay, Wendy, thank you so much. That was really informative, and most importantly, it's really easy and convenient. So I know a lot of small business owners, just kind of holding everything together on a daily basis, your staff, your scheduling, your inventory, payroll, all that stuff. It takes a small miracle just to hold it all together sometimes. So the idea of creating an integrated campaign from scratch and maybe managing every component by yourself or with limited resources is not very attractive. So a solution like this is ideal. I don't want to get too salesy, but I think this platform Wendy just showed you, which is the one that we've developed for small business owners, in my opinion, it is the best and the easiest way to do it. But I also want to make it clear that you can do all this by yourself. So if you want to work with the post office directly and print everything yourself, do all the paperwork yourself, and handle that whole process, you can do that. And if you want to find an email service provider that is reputable and that you can rent an email list from and manage all the creative and all that, you can do that too. So it really just becomes a question, is it easier and more affordable, your time is money, so is it easier and more affordable to do it with an all-inclusive provider, or is it easier and more affordable to just do it yourself? So that's a question only you can answer. Either way, can work great. All right, so let's flip back over to our presentation here, and we are at the last step. So we are at the open question and answer session. Throughout this webinar, you guys have been providing a lot of feedback, so thank you, and thank you for letting me know you could hear me. That's always a good start for a webinar. So we've got a ton of questions, and real quick, I just want to thank everybody. Over 500 small business owners are registered on this webinar, which is a new record for us, so thank you. This is literally our best webinar ever. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that many people have come a lot of questions and feedback on this webinar. So Wendy, if you and I can maybe tackle a few of these questions, here's what I'll do. After this webinar, I'm going to email everyone who registered a link where you can watch the recording of this webinar. You can download all of these slides in PDF format. And what I'm also going to do, since there's so many questions, is I'm going to go through each and every one of these questions with Wendy. We're going to type an answer to each one, and we'll post them on the website. That way you can get everything in one place. And I think everyone deserves to have their question answered. And I want to make sure that all of you are happy, especially since you've made this the best webinar ever. So let's go ahead. We'll take a few here, and we're pressed for time, so we'll make it quick. First question, I see that acquisition emails cost about 2.4 cents. What is the cost for the direct mail? Great question. So the direct mail service, if you're talking about Every Door Direct Mail, which is the one we spoke about today and the one that Wendy just showed you, Every Door Direct Mail, if you're a small business owner, you're typically going to do somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 pieces at a time. And if you do that, you're looking at about 30 cents per home, each, give or take a few pennies. Now, when I say 30 cents per home, I'm talking about all inclusive. That is the cost for the printing and production. We do all of the paperwork for you with the post office, so you literally don't have to do any paperwork. And that also includes the postage and delivery as well. And it could also include the design if you're using a free template. So for less than the price of a stamp, you can design, print, and mail these offers through direct mail. So it's very, very affordable, and I don't think there's a better way or more affordable way to mail such an impressive direct mail piece. Next question, Wendy, do you want to take this one? What is your lowest amount of direct mail orders? So I think you're referring to the quantity there.
Sure. So the minimum quantity that we have available through the everydoordirectmail.com portal is 1,000 pieces. You'll see that there are price breaks available at 1,000 all the way up to 50,000 pieces. So depending on the quantity that you choose to mail, you can go right to the website, click on the pricing tab, and see the all-inclusive price per piece based on the size that you choose to mail.
Yep. So that's pretty straightforward. And again, the pricing on everydoordirectmail.com, if you want to go that route, the pricing you see on the site is flat rate pricing. It's all inclusive. Okay, so it makes it nice and easy to estimate your costs. All right, so let me find another question here that I think has mass appeal, if you will. Here's a good question. Can you target specific neighborhoods? The answer is yes. So the way the USPS handles Every Door Direct Mail is through what they call postal carrier routes. And a postal carrier route is basically just a group of streets. So, a zip code, for example, might have 6 to a dozen carrier routes within it. And those postal carryouts are essentially neighborhoods. I mean, if you go into that mapping tool that Wendy showed you, you can basically zoom in or zoom out and really handpick the neighborhoods that you want to target using that carrier route method. Generally speaking, the answer is yes, you can target neighborhoods. There may be a street or two in there that isn't ideal, but it's something you really need to dive in and look at your local area to see how the USPS has laid out those carrier routes. And let's see here. Here's another good question on the email side. Wendy, do you want to try this one? Are you creating and sending the emails, or are you just supplying the email list?
Yeah, it's a great question. So with our solution, we're doing everything for you. So remember, this is part of an integrated campaign. So once you make your direct mail selections, we will go ahead and know the quantity of emails that we'll be sending, and we will go ahead and design that email campaign for you and deploy it for you. And another question that somebody asked a couple rows down is, what email address does that go out from? Does it go out from your company? Does it go out from our company? You can provide us with whatever return address you want us to be sent from. So it looks like it's coming directly from your business.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So when you're renting an email list through a provider such as us at everydoordirectmail.com, the emails are deploying through our system. So we do not send you the list of email addresses and then you have to figure out how to send them. You are sending them through our system. And there's two reasons. One, we're not allowed to sell you email addresses, nor should you ever buy email addresses. And two, we make sure that everything is done exactly according to best practices in compliance with all canned spam laws, and also to get you the most results out of it. We want these to deliver because that means you're going to be successful. So to Wendy's point, you can choose the sender name. So if you're Pizza Hut, for example, it will say from Pizza Hut when somebody views your email on their smartphone. You can choose the subject line. You can choose the reply to email address. So if you want it to go to info@pizzahut.com, for example, you can do that. So you have total control. We just do everything for you and make it look great and make it simple. Okay. Another question was, somebody mentioned that they heard the USPS was going to discontinue the EDDM service. They say, is that true? Wendy, you're in touch with our USPS reps every day.
Thank you for the question, and I assure you that this program is not going anywhere. The Every Door Direct Mail program generates over $1 billion in postage revenue. That's billion with a B. So based on everything that we've seen from the marketing dollars they spent promoting this program, and primarily from the success that the small business communities had with Every Door Direct Mail, it's not going anywhere. So please rest assured that you can continue using it for years to come.
Yeah, I think that's it's kind of a non-issue. It's not going anywhere, as Wendy said. It's been a massive success by all accounts, very positive press, and it's been fully embraced by the small business community. And in fact, they're in the middle of a large-scale marketing campaign right now. You've probably seen it on Facebook if you're a small business owner. So no issues there. Let's see here. Do we add the email addresses to our database and autoresponder, or do you send the emails through your system? So I think we just answered that with the previous question. Again, we send the emails for you. You are renting these emails because they have opted in to our network, our database. You are not buying these. You do not get the emails. Now, that said, if you send emails to these folks and then they go to your website or they contact you or they register an account on your site, at that point you do own them because they've taken that action or they've connected with you. So that's the goal here. You want these emails to generate leads and sales, and from there they're yours. Okay, let's see here. This may get answered in the presentation, but in case it doesn't, my question is there a frequency of drops for direct mail or emails to new customers that is recommended? You want to take a stab at that one, Wendy?
Sure. So on the direct mail side, one of the things that we showed you briefly was the option to do what we call multiple impressions. So we talk a lot about, and most folks talk about when it comes to marketing, the importance, again, for reach and frequency. You can't do any sort of marketing just one time and expect the phone to ring or expect a line outside of your door. You need to reach people more than once. I think best practice calls for anywhere from at least 7 up to 12 times before somebody's going to potentially transact with you. So if you have something like a grand opening or you have a certain service that you're looking to promote, we recommend that you do it at least 2, if not 3 times with the same creative on the direct mail side. And then when it comes to email, you'll see that we have automatically built in at least 3 emails to every direct mail campaign if you do opt for that upgrade. Again, doing something just one time, you're not going to see that lift, you're not going to get that response. Doing it more often is the key.
Wendy, how often on average, the small business customers that you work with, how often on average do they launch a new direct mail campaign? How many times per year?
Sure. I'd say the average probably, Chris, is probably quarterly. I think, again, it's something that you have to see what budget you have, what other types of marketing you're doing, but make sure that you're doing something at least on a quarterly basis. You can't plan on doing something just once a year and expect, again, that your phone's going to ring off the hook or you're going to have that line out the door. It's something you have to plan for on a regular basis. And with a system like ours or with some of the other programs out there, they give you the option to go on these quarterly kind of set it and forget it programs.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So I think what this boils down to is kind of planning. So you should have pretty much a set start and end date for each marketing campaign that you run. That provides you with a chance to make a scheduled and solid effort with your marketing that has clear deadlines and deliverables. And it also gives you the chance to try several different ideas and offers throughout the course of a year. So, if you're running a campaign, once a quarter, every 90 days, you should deliver that direct mail piece, support it with your integrated email, and also support it with anything else that you want to do, like your social media or your content. So we're talking about direct mail and email specifically today, and that's something really easy to start with, but you certainly could integrate additional sources on your own into that campaign. So that makes sense. So plan ahead is kind of the idea here. All right, we're running out of time. Again, thank you, everybody. We're going to do 2 more questions here, and then we will send you a link where you can access all of this in just a day or 2. We'll have this all online for you. The next question is, do we get 3 emails with a campaign at everydoordirectmail.com, or does each email cost, I see, so, or does each email cost, have a separate cost to send? So with everydoordirectmail.com, if you order your Everydoor Direct Mail and integrated email campaign on the site, when it says your email costs $300, keep in mind you are getting 3 emails with that order. So it's not just a one-time email blast. You're getting 3 separate email blasts at separate dates and times with that order. So you don't have to pay for each email separately. You get 3 with your order. So if you look at it holistically, you're getting 4 total impressions. You're making 1 impression with direct mail, which is your core integrated campaign component, and then you're supporting that with 3 additional emails over a period of time. All right, and thanks again for all the good feedback. A lot of people are saying thank you, this is great. So that's encouraging. We'll do more of these for sure. And let's find one more question here, and Wendy, I'll let you tackle this one. Let me just browse, make sure I get a good one. Let's see. So this is a question that comes up a lot. So does this work with B2B? I want to clarify this because a lot of people think it does, and I think the answer is not so much. Right, Wendy?
Yeah, it's a great question. So with the Everydoor Direct Mail program, which again for our solution here is the lead into the email opt-in, you are required to mail every residential address in the carrier routes that you select. You have the option of adding in business addresses. So it really, again, depends on the type of business that you are or the type of audience that you're looking for. So for example, let's go back to the pizzeria. A pizzeria that's looking to build up its catering business, maybe it's looking to build up its lunch business and they're in a business area, they may want to add business addresses to build up that type of traffic. But a landscaper or a dentist is likely not going to be going after the business audience. So for our solution and what you've seen today, it really is more of a B2C play.
Okay. So yeah, if you want to only reach businesses, this is not the right solution. The approach in terms of integrated marketing would be the same and the most effective, but this particular solution that we just showed you is not for B2B. Most small businesses are B2C, at least the ones that we work with, so that's kind of what this was built for. If you need a mailing list for businesses only, if you go to taradel.com, Taradel.com, we have a solution to offer that to you, or we can point you in the right direction if you want to look at other providers too. So just want to make that clear. Okay, so that does it. We're running out of time here. Thank you all for your attendance. This has been absolutely great. Probably the most fun I've had on a webinar in quite a while. Wendy's got a smile on her face too. So we thank you again. I'm going to email everything you've seen here today along with the recording and the answers to all of your questions. I'm going to put it all up on the website, and anybody can access it for free. So thanks again. We'll see you next time.